Ladies and gents, PepperBelly here, bringing you guys a video that should have been happening in January, when Grand Theft Auto 5 was originally announced to be released. But, you know, it's been delayed like 3 or 4 times up until this point, but finally, the game is out. Now, I haven't actually made a Grand Theft Auto video since I played the game when it was originally released on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 years ago, and most of you guys who have been around my channel that long have probably already seen that video, and I talked about it, and it was a hell of a lot of fun, and I really thoroughly enjoyed GTA. And I even ended up making a video where I talked about my PC wish list, features and things I would like to actually see added to the PC version should it ever come. And, well, I can honestly say that almost every single thing I brought up in that video has been addressed and added to the PC version of GTA 5, which is fantastic. One of the things I talked about was having a more dense population, and they seem to have added it, but to be completely honest, although there is more of a population, there's more traffic density and whatever, I still think they could have pushed it a lot further, in my opinion. I feel like they could have actually made it so that population density was significantly higher, so pedestrians were literally everywhere. That would be a great thing to see. And there is definitely an increase, but it's still not like to what you would expect in real life. If you were to walk around LA and go to the beach would be crowded, I'm assuming. I don't think there's going to be like maybe 15 or 20 or 30 people on the beach. I'm pretty sure there'd be like, you know, a couple hundred, if that. I'm not entirely sure. I've never really been to LA, but looking at the pictures, it looks crowded. It looks like there's a lot of people there. But nevertheless, the game is amazing. And this is probably one of the only games I would actually fully endorse that you definitely, if you haven't played it, especially if you haven't played it, if you own it on the Xbox 360 or the PS3, I would still strongly recommend picking it up if you have a PC suitable to actually run the game. And the thing is, you don't even need a super behemoth of a computer to run it. There are people that are actually running this game beneath the system minimum requirements and are able to play it with decent graphics settings at 1080p, which is insane. This game is pretty well optimized, but at the same time, in certain circumstances, it's not. And if you go ahead and take a look at Total Biscuit's port report, he has two 980s in his PC, and he still gets like strange, weird, basically frame hits on certain advanced graphic features, where in my case, I have them all turned on and they don't make any difference. So it's like, it's hit and miss depending on your hardware, but for the most part, I can say this is a very well optimized game, and a lot of people have been playing it. Not to mention, it sold 1 million copies on PC in the first 24 hours. Over 1 million. I don't know exactly the figure, but it's a well-known fact that 1 million copies has been sold. That's phenomenal. And when it was initially released, it was the second most played game on Steam. So, basically, there is a lot of people playing this game. Right now, last I checked, there was over 300,000 people playing. That's amazing. That's only Steam, alright? There's a lot of people that bought this game and it wasn't on Steam. So you can almost be assured when you're playing GTA Online, you're going to find lots and lots of people to play with and mess around with. It's just such a great game. And the fact that the campaign is just so diverse, so expansive, and just filled with so much activities that it'll keep you entertained for hours upon hours upon hours, with hilarious moments that happen continuously throughout the entire game.
Move your ass!
What's up, homie?
Hey, look, Chop got to stay around your crib for a while, homie. That's cool?
Yeah, man, it's cool. Shit's the best place for him anyway.
Like it ain't nobody out there gunning for your black ass. Bullshit, nigga. Just take care of it, man, all right?
All right, I got you, dog.
And with online, it becomes that much better. And in fact, when I say GTA Online is a major selling point for this game, I sincerely mean that. I mean, if they released Grand Theft Auto Online as a standalone type of title that was available to everybody, and they sold it and they charged full price for it, it would still somewhat be worth it, because the GTA Online has endless amounts of fun and content to be had, considering they're going to be releasing DLC continuously for free, and they're going to be adding more and more things. the game is just like, it seems like there's an endless possibilities for this particular title, and it blows my mind. I can't wait to see what happens, because let's just be honest here. GTA 5, PC, it's like, this is what was needed. Consoles can't, unfortunately, do the things that the PC version can. Which, you know, there's a lot more potential utilizing actual PC hardware and components, but the only downside at the moment with the game is the fact that it's not moddable at this particular moment. And I think there's like a Russian modder who managed to crack some of the files, and some people actually managed to kind of figure out how to mod it, but apparently Rockstar basically encrypted all the files right off the bat, making it difficult for modding to really happen, which is the thing that everybody was looking forward to the most in the PC version. That was the thing that people were like, you're gonna have a PC version, we need modding. GTA 4 with mods is amazing. Grand Theft Auto 5 with mods would blow our fucking minds. And unfortunately, Rockstar seemed to have encrypted those files and made it more difficult for modders to actually achieve what they want to achieve, and it's unfortunate. It really is, but as we move forward, I guess we'll see things unravel and modding will become more commonplace, and that would be fantastic because I want to see some crazy-ass mods for this game. Let's get some ENB, Icy Enhancer stuff up in this and make the game look amazing, even more so than it does right now. But still, even if modding was impossible, let's say it could not be done at all, the game, even as is definitely worth picking up and playing. It's so much fun, as I said countless times throughout this video. I don't need to go on a huge rant on trying to convince you to pick it up, because it is sold at full price, and it can get pricey depending on the region you're in. For example, for me, I had to pay an additional $70 Canadian for it, which I didn't want to pay, let's be honest. I already have the game on Xbox 360 as much as I want to get it on PC. $70 seems steep to me, but during release, seeing its popularity, seeing the hype generated around it, of course, naturally, I jumped aboard the hype train. I purchased it, and I don't regret it, because it's just that much better. It's so much more fun, and holy shit, I can't wait to put a lot more hours into it. And playing online is fantastic. It's like, the online portion to me seems like the more prominent, important feature at this particular moment, and it's the one thing I'm loving, because there's heists that was implemented right off the bat now, which is great, because it was delayed and there was a lot of people like looking forward to it on console. Like when I was playing it on 360, like I was told it was going to be like released within a month, so where everyone that was playing it was like, yeah, heists, let's play this, and it took them fucking forever. You could see it's like, it's been years, you know, and it's finally only out now, you know, like it was released within the month for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and day one for PC. So it's like, it was a very long process for heists to actually come out, and now it's released, it's like, okay, cool, now we're all happy we can finally play them, and hopefully there's going to be additional content featuring those types of missions going forward, among many other things. So it's like, there's a lot to look forward to, especially for the PC community, considering there's going to be like literally endless possibilities of what can be done with this game on PC. So it's like, it's exciting. However, this video wouldn't be complete without mentioning some caveats, because this game has a few. One of them has been remedied, and that was the whole username issue. So if you're a Windows operating system, your user account for your operating system, if it had any weird symbolism outside the regular letters and numbers that are used like normal human beings, because some guys on the internet like to go out there and be like, hey, I want to have some strange letters and foreign alphabets and crazy things. Well, then if you have that, the game wouldn't work for you. However, it doesn't matter anymore, because there was a patch released today that remedied that problem. Now, the other issue basically stems from mouse precision and accuracy. They feel floaty. The actual aiming feels a tad bit floaty, whether or not this is actually a design concept, because the overall game feels floaty, right? When you're walking around, and you're sprinting, and you're running, the game kind of has that natural, like, less responsive feel to it. To make the game feel more realistic and actually making your characters feel more weighty like they would in real life, right? You're not just turning on a dime and doing all this crazy stuff, unless of course you're playing a first person, and then which strafing becomes like very prevalent. But the aiming is affected in the same way. And there's 3 different settings. You can choose Windows, and this is like direct input methods. There's raw input, which everyone knows is usually the best option. There's direct input, And then there's Windows. If you choose Windows, the game becomes a stuttery mess. If you choose direct input, it's a little bit more responsive, but it's still not quite 100% there. It's just kind of weird. It still feels sluggish. Raw input, it's more or less balanced. There's really no mouse acceleration things, but it still feels somewhat delayed, like a little floaty. It almost feels like mouse smoothing is on, and there's no way to turn it off. That's the best way I can describe it. It has mouse smoothing. And if you ever played games like first-person shooters with mouse smoothing, you know that it makes it feel like the movements are more smoothed out, right? It's not as rapid and precise, and you can't just like twitch shoot as effectively because it's just kind of, you know, smoothed out and weird and whatever. That's basically how the game feels. And it's unfortunate because, on top of that, another thing I need to address is the fact that some people say raw input is actually tied to your frame rate, and that's the worst thing ever. You don't want your sensitivity to deviate because or fluctuate based on your frame rate, and that's what some people are experiencing. I haven't totally experienced it myself, but it's occurring for other players, and to me that's a huge no-no. That can't happen. You need a true one-to-one ratio when you're using a mouse, and I would like to see it addressed where the mouse feels more responsive. But again, I'm not entirely sure whether or not that's actually a design decision put in place by Rockstar just to make the game not as snappy and responsive, just for the sake of trying to make the gameplay feel more real, I suppose, even though it's really easy in real life to snap to a target rapidly and quickly. But I digress. Whatever they choose to do, right, it's their game, but regardless, even with those small issues, it's still really fun. Now, the other problem, and this one is a major one to me, and it almost seems like they fixed it in the last update, even though the changelog, if there even is a changelog, they kind of showed. They basically just said all that was changing was, it's like a 207 megabyte update, and they talked about fixing the username issue, and that was it. But it almost feels like they fixed the playing controls as well, because the playing controls, the way that it was before, it felt like you were literally manipulating a joystick with your mouse, and instead of actually manipulating the ailerons and the elevators and the rudders manually. And what I mean by that is when you move your mouse to the right. So if you have it directly in the center of your mouse pad and you move it to the left, then your joystick in the airplane would move to the left. And if you have the auto center on, if you don't move, it'll gradually move back to the center. But if you're moving rapidly, you move it to the left, your joystick moves to the left, and if you move it back to the right, back to the center, your joystick should center again in the game. If you keep moving to the right, then it goes to the right. So you're like emulating a joystick, and it basically takes away the precision completely. You're literally unable to fly like accurately because it's constantly like, you'll want to do back and forth rolling, so you want to roll left and roll right rapidly. You're going to overshoot your roll right, or you're going to overshoot your roll left, or it's because the way it emulates a joystick, there's no precision and no real sense of control. However, since the update that was released today, it almost seems like that was addressed. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if it's a placebo or for some reason I'm suddenly better. Driving is the same way. It seems to be better because another thing is you have the option to actually choose whether or not you want your camera or to be your default control method when you're in a vehicle. So either you don't have to, because there's a toggle, there's a shifter, if you want to call it that, where basically you hold down the left mouse button and then you're able to control the vehicle or your camera. So it's like I have it set up so when I'm flying, my mouse is default to the actual aircraft controls, and I hold down the left mouse button and then I can look around. When I'm driving, however, that's in reversed. So camera is my default mouse button, or is my default control for the mouse, and then I hold down the left mouse button to steer. If I'm not using WASD. WASD is fantastic if you're going to race or you need rapid control, but if you want to make nice, slow, kind of graceful turns that is not too sharp and jaggy and whatever, then using your mouse is probably more ideal. And it seems that they kind of remedied that as well, which is strange. I'm not entirely sure whether or not they did. The thing I haven't tried, though, is the helicopter, and that's probably what would confirm it for me, because the helicopter controls are abysmal. They're the worst I've ever experienced in a game, and whoever designed them needs a slap on the wrist, because that is terrible designs. Like, we're playing on PC, we were expecting some phenomenal flight characteristics that would be, reminiscent of Battlefield. Battlefield has phenomenal controls for that stuff, and I can tell you it's terrible, because there's an auto center. Think of flying in Arma 3, For those of you familiar with Arma 3, you're flying the helicopter with auto hover on the entire time. That's what it feels like. You're constantly fighting the joystick to point your nose down so you can fly forward. It's a freaking nightmare. It's unbelievable how bad it is to fly. So you have to go into your options and you have to turn off auto centering. This helps alleviate it, but the controls, it's still manipulating a joystick, so you're constantly rolling back and forth, whipping. You have like no real sense of control over your helicopter, and that's a huge problem. Doing missions where you're flying around, shooting down jets and whatnot, or trying to buzz a target, shooting targets with your minigun, it's a freaking nightmare. It's so hard to fly. So whether that's been addressed, I have no idea. That's one thing I have to test on my own, and maybe come back with a video updating you guys on whether or not the controls have actually changed, but I'm suspecting that they haven't. So, yeah, that's my major problem right now, is the mouse isn't quite as responsive, and the flight controls aren't as responsive either. They feel sluggish. And the other complaint I have that ties into both of those is the fact that because you're able to choose your default mouse operation status, so it's like you want it to either be the camera or you want it to be the vehicle controls without using the modifier that is the left mouse button. There's the options to choose for your cars, your aircraft, and your submersibles, so like submarines. The problem is, I think that the airplane controls and the helicopter controls should differ. There should be separate. It should give you the option as well to be separate, because for one thing, flying an aircraft, a jet, or a plane, you want to have that auto center. It makes it easier. But when you're flying a helicopter, you don't fucking want that, because it's forcing you to hover when you want to aim forward, and it restricts your movement and all that. It's a nightmare, like I said. So giving two options for that would definitely alleviate the issue, because like having to constantly go back in the options to swap between the two is ridiculously annoying and tedious, and it should not be necessary. So hopefully, at some point in the future, they can address that. Whether they will or not, I have no idea. But I haven't seen that many people complaining, but there has been a few. And the thing is, we're not being voiced enough, so I'm not entirely sure if that's something that's actually being looked at. But ultimately, those are my only caveats. The game still is fantastic and plays like a dream and is super fun. So, in the end, I would definitely recommend picking this up. My name's been PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Stop right there! God damn it! I knew this would happen if they let fruits in the fucking Space Rangers! Listen, your kind has no business in the military. How's this feel? Oh, well, that's a fucking serious distraction right there. I'm a bottom. Take me! Give it to me! Yes! Yes!